Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first review for Superman and Lois, the latest CW show from the Arrowverse. My name is Gio. Thank you so much for being patient. I know we're a couple minutes late. You said we started at 8 p.m. My buddy Jake Berlin, my fellow podcaster, he is running a bit late. Hopefully, he'll be able to join me on this episode. But yeah, this will be a full on spoiler discussion for Superman and Lois. If you haven't seen it, I appreciate you being here. Come back another time. But if you have, get ready. We're going to dive in. But first, I just want to give you a little bit of background on where I'm coming from this show. So I spent a couple seasons watching some of the CW shows. Obviously, Arrow. I'm a big fan of that show. I watched the first 3 seasons. I saw the first 2 seasons of Flash and most of the first season of Supergirl. So I did get to see Superman for a little bit, but I'm coming into this show relatively fresh. Okay, like I was drawn in by the trailers, the Family Crush trailer, and the latest trailer for this show. Both of which I did reactions on my channel. If you have seen it, I really do appreciate it. But yeah, I was just drawn in from the whole family aspect of this with Superman and Lois, being parents. That's something that I haven't seen before on live action, and so that was really what I would wanted to see. And I'm happy to say this first episode does a great job with that. I really did enjoy the drama, the whole storytelling of these characters trying to balance their work life with obviously the secret life of Clark Kent being Superman, and now them being parents. I thought the show did a great job at exploring each one of those areas and giving us a taste of what's to come this season. So there's a lot to dive into. The first thing I'll talk about here, I'll kind of go through the episode in order, but first thing I want to point out is that 1.6 million viewers tuned in during the premiere. That's a pretty good number. You guys at CW should be very happy with that. For the most part, what I've seen on Twitter, a lot of positive reactions from the show, which is also what you want. So they did a great job. They should be very happy. And I am probably one of many people who are just excited about this season and look forward to where it could go in the future. So the show opens with kind of, the opening scene skimming through Clark's origin, which I did, in fact, enjoy. I didn't mind that. We know Superman's origin by this point, much like Batman and Spider-Man and other comic book characters. So we don't really need to spend a whole episode revisiting that. They spend probably the first 5, 6, 7 minutes of this episode going through all that, from the Kent farm crash landing to Clark's and his Smallville years, and then of course we see poor Pa Kent um, suffer a health issue, I believe a heart attack, and Clark loses that father figure pretty early in his life. And then it shows the Daily Planet, and we see him meeting Lois Lane, and their interaction, which was pretty fun to see. There they are, right there. Clark Kent, played by, I have his name here, Tyler Hoechlin. Yep, and I thought he did a great job. And then Lois Lane, played by Bitsy Tulak. I really enjoyed her performance as well. These two are so great on screen. Their chemistry, I really enjoyed it. Um, Clark Kent and Lois Lane, they are like the definitive like couple as far as comic book stories are concerned. Obviously you got Tony and Pepper, you got Steve Rogers and Peggy, you got Peter Parker and Mary Jane, but for many, it's Clark Kent and Lois Lane. And I thought these two did an incredible job. The performances were awesome, especially now that we're seeing them as parents. You got to bring a different dynamic to these characters. something that we really haven't seen before. And as I've stated earlier in the video, I really enjoyed that. I was new to all this, them being parents, and the show did a really great job. So the opening scene does show them, build on that. Clark Kent reveals to Lois that he has powers. They fall in love. They get married. They have kids, and those kids are Jonathan and Jordan Kent. There they are, right there. And I really do like that they're so different. You have Jonathan Kent to the left, played by Jordan Alasis, and he's kind of the overachiever. He's the freshman guy, the freshman kid who made the varsity team and is a quarterback. And then you got Jordan Kent, played by Alexander Garfin, who has some mental health struggles. Kind of doesn't know who he is. Is kind of figuring himself out, and a lot of those issues are ones that you can relate to. It's very relatable in today's world. And I will say this show does do a pretty damn good job as far as being set in the modern world. Okay, we're going to talk about later what happens to the Daily Planet. Very relatable. But yeah, so the kids are introduced, Jonathan and Jordan Kent. And then from there, the show kind of shows us a little bit of evolution of the Superman costume. And there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions on this costume here. Now, I don't know what the big deal is, okay? This is clearly a homage to Action Comics, the 1940s look. And it's great. It's only a couple of minutes, maybe not even a couple of minutes, but we see them pay homage to the classic Superman. And of course, later on, we get the modern day suit, very Man of Steel like. But when I saw this image, I was like, yes, this is awesome, love it. Again, paying homage to even recognizing the Man of Steel costume, Henry Cavill's as well. I'm more favorable to these kinds of this look of the suit. I like that. I think that's one of the best things about this modern Superman aesthetic is that it fits. While still kind of paying homage to the classic looks. Obviously, in my opinion, you can't have the red underwear out, but it's nice to kind of see them acknowledge that instead of just pretending like it didn't happen. So really important. I really enjoyed that. And so from there, yeah, we see in the show Clark, Superman saving the day from a nuclear plant. We'll talk about the nuclear plant later on. But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny actually. Just seeing Clark Kent or Superman use his powers, creates a big block of ice and just takes it and puts it into the nuclear plant, cooling it down. I thought it was fun, you know. Certainly better than him punching an island, referring to Superman Returns. But yeah, and then he has an interaction with Lois Lane's father, and let's see, I have his name here. Sam Lane, played by Dylan Walsh, and they're having a fun dialogue exchange about visiting the family and whatnot. But as soon as Superman saves the day and goes home, he is reminded that he also has responsibilities as a father now. And Lois Lane kind of gives him the rundown on what he missed. One of your sons, wants to break some news to you. The other one had a therapy session that you missed, and yeah, time for you're home now. Be a father. And that was I thought that was pretty important in showing that, you know, this Clark Kent character now has to now has two really important jobs. Obviously Superman, and the need of a hero in the world, and now the need of being a father at home. So from there, he goes and talks to his sons, and one of them, Jordan Kent, is playing Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. I thought that was pretty funny. He's playing as a Mortal Kombat character, and he's just beating up Superman. And his dad, not knowing his dad's Superman, is just watching, and he's just like, "Everything okay, son?" I thought that was pretty fun. But yeah, so from there we see his home life is not really doing so well, but also his work life as well. The Daily Planet is in shambles. Okay, people are getting fired, let go. Again, I talked about this show being set in a modern era, and in the modern era, digital is taking over journalism. You don't see many newspapers out in the world. Somebody in the first episode was talking about nobody really reads the Daily Planet anymore, and so again, it's the story acknowledging the era that it's set in, the modern era, and it's accuracy like that I happen to really appreciate. And then as Clark Kent tells Lois that I'm fired. They let me go. I'm laid off. He, hears. No, actually, he gets a phone call, and it's a doctor saying your mom, Martha, is not in very good, uh, not in a very good health condition. And you see Clark Kent zoom out of there, and I don't think he's ever flown faster to be there by his mother's side. And yeah, that was a really deep emotional scene, albeit short. But the fact that it shows Clark Kent's humanity, his attachment to his mother, and just you see the look on the actor's face. He did an incredible job, but it shows just how important uh, Ma Kent is to Clark. And unfortunately, she passes, and a funeral is held, and that's when we get introduced to Lana Lang. Lana Lang, played by Emmanuel Shrikwi. I probably pronounced that wrong, but immediately I was like, "Oh, Entourage, yeah, her. Wow, that was pretty cool casting." And she's great. Yeah, she plays a very well known side character in the Superman comics, Lana Lang. Um, but like Clark and Lois, she also has children, and one of them is Sarah Lang, played by Inde Nebadet, I believe. I probably mispronounced that, but she's also in the show as well. Um, from the funeral scene, there is now a tense conversation that happens between Clark Kent, Lois Lane, Lana Lang, and Kyle Cushing, Lana Lane's boyfriend, played by Eric Valdez. And it's about Clark Kent and him abandoning Smallville. A small town kid moves to the big city, but doesn't do anything for the community. And, really, really has Clark Kent, taking a step back and being like, hmm, there is some truth to it. I've been away from home for so long. I mean, at that point, he's probably wishing he would have spent more time with his mom, you know, um, in retrospect. But yeah, that was a pretty tense conversation. And it's that kind of dialogue that in those dramatic scenes that really made me so invested into this show, because I do intend on watching it all the way through now. Not only how dramatic it can get, but also how how very cinema like. I'm trying to find the word, but it's very like cinematic. Cinematic is the word I'm looking for. You know, you see these lines of dialogue and these shots of Kent Farm, and all the landscape that it shows. You're just really impressed by it all, especially for it being a CW show. Um, I have an image right here of the Kent farm, and just look at that background. Really impressive stuff. Um, so I really do appreciate just how cinematic this show is feeling. Show looks as far as like production value for CW. That's a huge plus for me because I kind of gravitate toward those kind of shows. I will say the CW shows, as much as I enjoyed them, after a while, I kind of just I don't want to say I lost interest, but other things started grabbing my attention. And this is the first time I've watched a DC CW show and was like, yes, I cannot wait for the next one. I haven't felt that way in quite a while, and but I'm happy to. I really am happy to be back in this part of the DC universe. So after their intense conversation, we go back to the barn. Jonathan Kent, Jordan Kent, and Sarah Cushing. They go to the barn because they're trying to fix the router, and I thought it was pretty funny to see the location of the router. I'm like, that's a bad location to put a router. I've never lived on a farm, okay, but I mean, you put the router so far away from the house, and then you got to go up some ladders to go and fix the router if there was ever a problem with the internet. And then you just happen to have some heavy equipment there right next to it that could fall on you if you fell, which is exactly what happens. And we're led to believe that Jonathan Kent, the overachiever, saved Jordan Kent. But as we later found out, again, spoiler here, I'm going through the entire episode, but as we later find out, no, it was Jordan Kent who saved it. And that reveal I will talk about. I really did enjoy that. So from the accident in the barn, the brothers are suspicious about what's going on. Jordan Kent, who doesn't realize that he saved his brother's life, is like, we should have been dead. Something's going on. Something's happening. Okay, all right. Dad is gone for like a really long time, and all these strange things are happening. And honestly, he's like, who survives that? Who survives that barn incident where like you should have been crushed by all that heavy equipment, but they weren't. Meanwhile, the other brother, the overachiever, um, Jonathan, is like, we just got lucky, but clearly something is going on. And then from there, we get a little neat dialogue, and I wish I had more images, but I just saw this episode earlier today, so bear with me. If you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. But Superman and Lois, they have this conversation about family and what's really important, despite trying to balance their secret life, their secret of Superman existing with work and work falling apart, and then the home life. But of course, their conversation is interrupted by Lois's father, Sam Lane, who shows Clark a warning message written in Kryptonian language. And, we get our first hint that there is a bad guy out there, a villain, not just some criminals, but somebody out there who clearly knows more about Clark Kent than, the average Joe. But this is, again, I talk about dialogue the writing. This is one of the more um, memorable moments as far as a drama scene goes. And it's Lois putting her foot down, telling Clark, I realize the world needs you, but so does your family. She says, the world will always need Superman, but when there's a problem, he will be there for them. But right now, this family needs you. The line delivery, the writing, everything, excellent. And it really put Clark in his place. And, again, like Lois Lane has purpose in this show. She has weight to her character. Okay. This whole show there's a reason it's Superman and Lois. All right. They're more of a team now that they're parents than ever before. And so if you're gonna do a show like this, you better give Lois some damn good writing. And they did. That quote that she says that I just read out really stuck with me. So good for you, Lois. And then from there, the show then reveals in the next scene that the Kent farm owes money. Martha Kent, she is a sweetheart. They say that she was the guardian angel of Smallville, looking out for others before herself. But the cost of being good obviously piled up, and there's money that's owed on the Kent farm. So now, as if things couldn't have gotten worse, now Clark, going home, just lost his mother, could very well lose his home as well, where he grew up, his home, and they're presented with some tough options. Well, while they're doing that, back at home, the boys, being boys, they stumble on a long hidden secret, and that is the transportation vessel that brought Kal-El to Earth. They discover the alien technology. All of a sudden, all their suspicions is starting to, have some weight to it. And, once the parents return, the boys then confront Clark and Lois about, what's really going on, who Clark really is. And from there, we get this awesome shot of Clark Kent lifting the farm truck with ease, and his sons just like, whoa, we were right. Dad is an alien and a freak. And that was a pretty cool reveal. But of course, one of the sons, Jordan Kent, is yeah, you might be Superman, but let me remind you that you and mom, Lois Lane, made me think I had problems. Okay, because he says he was on pills and he was going through struggles. And there's a line that he says, "You may have been sent here to be a hero, but sure as hell wasn't sent here to be a father." And once again, damn good writing. Okay, like the writing throughout the show is not perfect at all, but man, when it hits, it really hits. And I thought that was a great line. And Clark Kent is just, he's beginning to realize that he isn't at home enough for to be with his boys, his sons, and clearly it's really affecting his family in a bad way. But he gets called again. He gets called again to go to another nuclear plant, and from there he confronts a very mysterious villain, who is later revealed as Captain Luther, and we'll talk about that. But there's a reason why Clark keeps getting pulled to these nuclear plants. His mysterious villain realizes that he can't see through lead. Superman cannot see through lead. So that's part of the reason why. But from there, we get this, interesting back and forth showing Superman fight this mysterious villain, and meanwhile, the his sons, Jonathan and Jordan Kent, are at a party, and they get into a fight because Jordan Kent makes the move on Sarah Cushing, Lana Lang's daughter, and doesn't realize that she doesn't have a or that she has a boyfriend. So we get this back and forth, fight, and Superman gets his ass handed to him, and this villain, again, he knows all of Clark's weaknesses. He knows all of Clark's, weapons. His laser eyes, his freezing breath, um, and he, gives it to Superman pretty good. Gives him a good ass whooping, and then uses kryptonite and punches him right in the chest, and Superman loses that fight, and it goes back to the to his sons, and it's revealed that Jordan Kent actually has powers, as we stated before. He uses his laser eyes, and somehow nobody saw him, or did they? Um, but yeah, he's the one with the powers, not the other, his brother who made the varsity football team as a freshman. It's Jordan Kent with powers, and yeah, that was a pretty cool reveal right there. But yeah, it kind of gets them in more trouble, so to speak. So from there, Clark returns home and realizes, he might belong in Smallville, him and his family, just to get away from the big city and be a family man. And, the important years of, growing up, the years that shape you into who you will become, those years go by fast. And Clark realizes this when looking at a picture frame on the wall from his mother. And so, that plus Clark Kent realizing that he really now is Pa Kent. He is Pa Kent now. He's a father. He has these teenage boys who are trying to, come to terms with who they really are, what powers they may possess. And Clark Kent is now Pa Kent. And he, comes to realize that, maybe coming back to Smallville can do a lot of good, not just for the community, but also for his family as well. And, they break the news to their sons, and, we'll have a conversation about that. And, but as we now know through the preview of the next episode, they do in fact decide to stay in Smallville. So Clark Kent and Lois Clark, they decide to keep the farmhouse. Remember, it was it owed money, and they needed to find a way to pay it back. But they also learned that this company, Morgan Edge, is buying up farms like nothing. And so there's a little bit of mystery behind that, like what's going on, And so yeah, there's going to be a lot more time dedicated to that in the coming episodes. But before the episode ends, we get a huge tease. That mysterious villain that whoops Superman's ass, yeah, that is Captain Luthor. played by Wole Parks, and Luthor is played by a person of color. How interesting. Interesting. I don't know what kind of Lex Luthor this is. Clearly, this is one that can fight. He is clearly a genius because he knows all about Superman, and he may or may not have a hand in his life. With the Kent farm and the Daily Planet, and it'd be interesting to see if later on down the road Clark Kent is forced to use his powers on his sons for whatever reason. If they family drama turns into that story of one of the sons going bad. Like, I don't think they would go that route. I don't think they would go that deep, that dark. But you never know. So Captain Luthor. That's right, in the Lex Luthor, battle armor that we've seen in the animated movies, the video games, and comics. Captain Luthor, and he will be a force to be reckoned with. So overall, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I really did. I was surprised just how much I would, you know, um, enjoy the family aspect and seeing these iconic characters in different kinds of roles. The struggle of balance between home life, work life, and superhero life. Um, the kids, Jordan Kent and Jonathan Kent, and them coming to terms with who they really are, and like I said, the powers that they may or may not have. I really am enjoying a lot of it, and to see just how cinematic this show is, the cinematography, the landscapes, the dialogue, all of it was fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to reviewing the rest of this season. It'll be exciting for sure. I'm excited that we have some good Superman content. Um, this isn't a place where I will, start comparing and say which one I prefer or whatnot. I am enjoying Superman and Lois. Yes, I would love Man of Steel too, or Man of Tomorrow, but that's just not a reality right now. Um, but I'm so happy that this show is putting some they're putting real time and resources and money behind this and presenting a very unique story, one of family, hope, and inspiration. So yeah, I really did enjoy Superman and Lois. I hope you did as well. I'm curious to know your thoughts. Leave your thoughts in the comments. I would really appreciate it. I enjoy the conversation. And that's going to do it for Superman and Lois. These shows will happen every Wednesday, sometime in the late afternoon, evening. So please subscribe and come back and join the conversation next time. And I will have Jake Berlin with me as well. And, hopefully create some good conversation, some fun conversations where we can, geek out about this stuff. But for now, that'll do it. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Gio from the Fandom United podcast, and hope all of you have a great rest of your week. Till next time.